नंदीघोष बिजनेस एक फ्रेश एपिसोड को आपको स्वागत करुच्ची मु अविनाश। दर्शक बंधु, गत सप्ताह राज्य सरकार 2023-24 आर्थिक वर्ष पर बजेट उपस्थापन कर 2,30,000 कोटी टंकार ये बजेट उपस्थापन कर गत थर अपेक्षा एथर बजेट्र आकार 15% बढ़ी एवं से अनुपात रे राज्य सरकार सबु क्षेत्र को मध्य गुरुत्व देइछंती। विशेष भाव में जो प्रोग्राम एक्सपेंडिचर रही ये पाखापाखि 54% रही। ए बजेट को नहीं बा पोस्ट बजेट डिस्कशन जहाँ CYSD परिसर में अनुष्ठित होता OBSE और CYSD पक्षर मिलित भाव में ये आलोचना चक्र अनुष्ठित होता जहाँ शीर्षक थिला वैल्यू फॉर मनी एंड एनालिसिस ऑफ ओडिशा स्टेट बजेट 2023-24। एथिरे विभिन्न क्षेत्र को नहीं आलोचना होता, शिक्षा ठू आरंभ करी स्वास्थ्य पर्यंत, ग्रामीण विकास ठू आरंभ करी कृषि पर्यंत। आगामी दिन में ओडिशा रे एसबु क्षेत्र में विकास समतुल भाव में किभଳି हो सबु लोकों पाखरे किभଳି ये सरकार विभिन्न योजना पहुँची पार एवं कौ कौ क्षेत्र में आउ कौन आवश्यकता रही से संपर्कित मतामत ग्रहण कर सबू को नहीं चलतु आरंभ करवा आज बिजनेस एपिसोड। ओडिशा रे एक प्रमुख दिग होउछि जोगाजोग। एथर सरकार एयरपोर्ट ठू आरंभ करी रेलवे कनेक्टिविटी बा आपणकर सड़क निर्माण ए क्षेत्र में यथेष्ट गुरुत्व देइछंती। ता सहित कृषि और आनुषंगिक क्षेत्र को मध्य अधिक गुरुत्व देइछंती। राज्य रे कृषि क्षेत्र में पाखापाखि बजेट जो आलोकेशन थिला तार परिमाण मध्य वृद्धि पाइछि। स्वाभाविक भाव में कालिया ठू आरंभ करी अनेक गुड़िए योजना मध्य राज्य सरकार एठी लागू करिछंती। सेहीपरि पणस मिशन ठू आरंभ करी छतु मिशन पर्यंत फूल चाष ता सहित मांडिया मिशन ये सबकिछि राज्य सरकार गोटे गोटे नुआ पदक्षेप जहाँ केवल कृषि को प्रोत्साहित करूनी बरं कृषकों आय को द्विगुणित बा ताठू अधिक करने दिगरे सहायक होछि। जे पूर्वतन मुख्य शासन सचिव थिले जुगल महापात्र से मध्य उपस्थित थिले कार्यक्रम रे।
The state budget is prepared within a framework of a law statute which is called the Odisha Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. This act has brought in a lot of discipline and structure to the budget preparation exercise. While the fiscal responsibility part has been done excellent, I think that part is absolutely fine. Almost, I would say, they tick all the boxes. Almost every norm of fiscal responsibility that has been mandated or economists talk of, mention, I think full marks to Dr. Rath and his team for ticking all the boxes. Even before that, we had created two funds, not many of you may be aware of, the debt redemption fund and the guarantee redemption fund. There is fairly sizable amount of money available in that fund. So in terms of resilience, I think there is nothing really to worry in the near term, at least in the next 5 to 10 years. Odisha, as it continues to be a revenue surplus state, you have a unique position of having the lowest public debt. Today it's about 13-14%, Satya, is how? Liabilities excluded, 13-14%. Liability will be about 32%. Oh, 11%. So you can't think of something like that. We have lived in an era when the public debt was 50%. So it's a dream state. But the question that I would like to say is that are we able to fully harness the fiscal strengths we have? Can we really, because this is a golden period, something that would not many states, it's a very highly enviable situation. Are we able to harness all these strengths for a faster, inclusive and sustainable growth? That's the key question I would like to flag. How efficiently budget is managed, and that's a big question. Are budgetary allocations being fully utilized? Are priority sectors receiving their due share of allocation? Some of the issues that have been flagged. Are projects and programs being implemented within approved costs and within the approved timelines? Absolutely important, and that's something is key to what I'm going to say. Are assets, and second, going forward, are assets created being fully and optimally utilized? Sometimes you'll find assets are being created, not being used for fairly large period of time. So it's very common to see a bridge having been constructed, but the approach to the road is not there. Or a transmission system, a grid substation has been constructed, but it's not charged for a period of time. Or a huge office building is constructed, not occupied for at least 2 years. Many facilities you will find that. So asset utilization is as important as asset creation. Is there a capacity constraint? Somebody mentioned while explaining underspending that maybe we are not able to mobilize resources. Not true. We have enough resources. Every year we end up with budgetary surplus. And Dr. Rath will provide any amount of money that any department needs for these programs. So capacity constraint is really something that needs to be looked at. What really ails? Why are we unable to move projects and programs faster? What is are there process hurdles? Are there procedural hurdles? Are there regulatory clearances that are taking time? How we can streamline all these things is something, a big challenge, and that's something the finance department alone cannot handle. This is something, a much larger question. Those who are in leadership positions in the state have to handle it. Resource mobilization is something, has not been a problem, but I have a few suggestions that I could flag. The tax GDP ratio has remained somewhat flat. Is there a scope for, because now that we are moving into a slightly higher income group, middle income group, is there a scope for raising our tax GSTP ratio, something that the people who are in finance or the fiscal experts could look at it? Mining remains emerging as a major issue, but sustainability of mining is an issue. What is an economically optimal and environmentally sustainable level of mining? How much we should take every year? What should we leave for the future? Please remember that this is an exhaustible resource. This is not something renewable. So the intergenerational equity becomes very important, and happily the economic survey has also endorsed that statement.
आगामी दिन में पिला किभली कंपटीशन बा प्रतियोगितामूलक मनोभाव नेबे एवं ताहा केमती संभवपर हो पारिबो ई जो 5T ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन रे वर्तमान समय आम जो रूपांतरण देखुचंती तार भी किभली भाबरे रक्षणाबेक्षण हो पारिबो आउ कोन शिक्षार विकास पई हमको आवश्यकता रहुची दक्ष मानव संबल सृष्टि ये सबु उपरे ये संपर्क रे एक आलोचना मध्ये अनुष्ठित होइतिला जोथिरे प्रोफेसर एसएन मिश्र जे प्रोफेसर ऑफ एमिरेट्स किट यूनिवर्सिटी से तांकर मत रखितिले आसुन तांको सुनिबा.
You know, this is a small quotation, this is a letter which Tagore wrote while he was coming on the Pacific. Tagore visited various countries and he spent about 6 months in Russia when Stalin was the person who was holding the realm. Now this is what he observed about India. He said that the imposing tower of Mijri, which rests on the heart of India, has its sole foundation in the absence of education. Caste divisions, religious conflicts, aversion to work, precarious economic conditions all center on this single factor. You know, I do a lot of work on education. So this is what Tagore wrote in 1930 while sailing over the Atlantic. Now what really surprised him in Russia was just not spread of education, but the quality of education. In 1930, there was a complete female literacy in Russia, and the quality was also very good. Next. This is what Mr. Naveen Patnaik was quoted by the finance minister. He said, "It is the common responsibility of all of us to help children realize their dreams, and it is the dreams that chart the way forward in the student's life." This is what Mr. Pujari quoted Naveen Patnaik. Now let's see how we are doing. Next. Now the new education policy very clearly finds that the condition of early childhood education in all the Anganwadis of the country is absolutely dismal. You know, Article 46 says it's the responsibility of the state to provide education from the age of 3 to 6 to children who are in Anganwadis. It is a function of how much you spend on education and health. You know, there's a wonderful study by Professor Lekha Chakrabarti of NIFP, a wonderful writer on the subject. Now she finds that those countries which typically spend more money on education and health also happen to have very high level of human development index. Just see, forget about US, forget about Germany, you see Japan, they spend close to 12 to 13% on education and health, and about India it's just about 5%. Now very interestingly, you find if you see the NFHS 5 report, anemia has increased in almost all the developed districts. be it Cuttack, be it Ganjam, be it Puri. Very interestingly, you find that it has reduced in tribal districts like Kalahandi and Kanmal. Now we have the Mamta allocation, it has slightly increased. But what I find little disquieting is the state support to the integrated child development scheme, and I find that there is a reduction from 456 crores to about 318 crores. It's a joint responsibility of the center and the state, and we find the midday meal scheme portion, there is an increase, but scheme for adolescent girls. Now, very interestingly, India, there are two Indias, one is India that we are talking, and there is a Bharat. Now, that Bharat is 92% unorganized, of which about 90% of the MSMEs are micro enterprises, and 85% are marginal farmers. And for them, employment is extremely important. And on the all India level, the finance minister has chosen it fit to scuttle it down by 49%. From about 80,000 crores, it is around 60,000 crores. That way, Odisha has been very good at this, but on the overall thing, employment generating scheme has not been. And basically what is happening, that the micro enterprises are hugely starved of funds. Because as I look at it, India, when we talk of India, we talk of the organized sector. Jugal will know this, that most of the data that we derive in the unorganized sector is a derivative of the organized sector. We don't have a good database as far as the unorganized sector is concerned.
दर्शक बंधु ओडिशा रे 70 लाख रु अधिक महिला को आज स्वावलंबी कराई पारिछि मिशन शक्ति एवं मिशन शक्ति वर्तमान एक विप्लव रे परिणत होइछि। महिला एवं शिशुंकर विकास क्षेत्र में मध्य सरकार यथेष्ट गुरुत्व देउछन्ति। तेबे महिला एवं शिशुंकर विकास सहित एमानंकु स्वावलंबी कराइबा पई एसएचजी मानंकु आउ कोन कोन आवश्यकता रहउछि ए क्षेत्र रे प्रमुख चैलेंज वर्तमान कोन रहउछि। सरकार गोटिए पटे एक कथा भी उल्लेख करछन्ति जे आमे एसएचजी को एसएमई करूछु तांका पई एक मार्केट तयारी करूछु एवं अन्य पटे जो 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 भली भाबरे महिला एवं शिशुंकर सेमानंकर सुरक्षा एवं सेमानंकर उन्नति कथा हम जदि चेष्टा करिबा से दिगरे मध्य सरकार बेस गुरुत्व देउछन्ति। ए संपर्क मध्य प्रोफेसर आशा हंस जे प्रेसिडेंट संश्लिष्टि रो तांकर मत रखिथिले आसुन सुनिबा।
The budget major share goes to Mission Shakti 41.8%, followed by Women and Child 33.3% and Health and Family Welfare 14.6%. That means it covers only these three items. The rest of the items are clubbed together into the rest of the budget. Why do we need gender budgeting? It is to forward to promote gender equality, that whether I am rich, mu garib kute jhiota asichi gaanu, she also gets as much as I get. It's not that only some people get, literate people get, or middle class. It has to be for everyone. And it brings into focus various government policies that promote gender equality. It makes possible for the government to translate their gender commitments to budgetary obligations and to utilize the budget as a tool to influence the lives of women and girls. Now we shall see if really this budget is going to transform our lives and those of our sisters who live in rural and other parts of Odisha. The ASHA program has a large budget, but you will remember that for the last 2 years, the ASHA workers have been asking for increase of budget, not because it's needed only for that, but also for their personal reasons. You cannot have women work for you. They work at home, and then you want women workers, whether they are Anganwadi workers or ASHA workers, to spend all their time on a very small amount of salary. So that is something that the government has to look at in the longer run, that salaries of these people who are working day in and day out. Remember that this is the year of post-COVID, that the COVID times, it was these workers on whom everyone depended. And COVID has, if you have increased the budget by say 20%, in reality is not 20% because the budget during the COVID has taken, our demands have increased excessively.
दर्शक बंधु ओडिशा रे वर्तमान 5टी हाई स्कूल रूपांतरण प्रक्रिया आपण माने देखुछंती। शिक्षा एक सामाजिक उन्नतिर प्रमुख मेरुदंड भाव में परिगणित होउछि एवं ओडिशा रे शिक्षा क्षेत्र में सरकार यथेष्ट अधिक गुरुत्व देउछन्ति। तबे प्राथमिक शिक्षा हो बा हाईस्कूल शिक्षा हो एवं वैषयिक शिक्षा हो शिक्षा क्षेत्र में किभली भाव में अधिकरु अधिक पिलांकर उन्नति हो पारिबो।
Thirdly, over the last 5 to 6 years, we have formulated number of new initiatives, implemented number of new initiatives and new processes in the budget making. Jodi apan dekhibe je citizens consultation in the pre-budget period, this is a new kind of initiative in our state. Climate budgeting, which is again a new kind of initiative. Agriculture budget, Odisha was the second state to implement the agriculture budget. Gender budget, Odisha is the front runner in doing the gender budgeting. So, child budgeting, nutrition budgeting, so number of new initiatives government of Odisha had done.
Government, civil society, academia, CSR, all those combinations, what do you call it? The citizen budget. It is the people's budget, proactive budget, pro-people's budget it should be. And therefore, we have been analyzing this, discussing at length about the social sector budget primarily, education, health, agriculture, social sector, and more important is the social protection mechanism, how to strengthen it further. Climate and climate action, climate change, global warming, this will be the priority for the government, and also social protection mechanism. So that is very much important.
Budget ta increase heichi 2023-24 financial year re to man seita basically heichi मुख्यमंत्री स्वास्थ्य सेवा मिशन आउ गोटे आमे देखिथिलु कि बिजु स्वास्थ्य कल्याण योजना एई दीटा सेक्टर रे हमर बजेट इंक्रीज हेची जोटा कि फोकस करूची माने हमर प्रायोरिटी होबा कथा स्टेट रे प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर को स्ट्रेंथन करबा बट एटा टर्सरी केयर सेक्टर आडकू बजेट बेसी जाउची। तापरे आमे देखुथुलु जो वेलनेस रे गोटे बहुत इंपोर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट होची हमर वाश कंपोनेंट वाटर सैनिटेशन कंपोनेंट सेठी आमे एथरो इकोनॉमिक सर्वे रो गोटे पॉइंट नै थिलु कि सेफ एंड एडिक्वेट ड्रिंकिंग वाटर सप्लाई टा होची डेवलपमेंट रो गोटे बहुत इंपोर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट जोटे कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ ओडिशा कहिसंती एग्रीकल्चर अलाइड सेक्टर को कंट्रीब्यूट करूचंदी सेही सब डिपार्टमेंट्स रे 3 वर्ष रो एनालिसिस आमे करिथिलु जोतरे कि एक्चुअल बजेट एक्सपेंडिचर डज नॉट मीट द बजेट एस्टिमेटेड बजेट तो सेटा गोटे कंसर्न तापे बहुत कारण हेई पारे जहाँ भितर कि स्टाफ शॉर्टेज ह्यूमन रिसोर्स रो शॉर्टेज इज वन ऑफ द मेजर कंसर्न तो हमको खाली पब्लिक स्पेंडिंग कले हबनी स्ट्रक्चरल चेंजेस उपरे भी हमको गुरुत्व देबा को पड़िबो।
दर्शक बंधु ओडिशा सरकार लगातार भाव में बजेट्र आकार बढ़ाई चलती बजेट्र आकार बढ़िया सहित गोटे बड़ दिग रही जे आमे जेतेबेले जेंडर इक्वालिटी कथा कहते बा लिंगगत वैषम्य दूर कथा कहते ए क्षेत्र में आमको कौन असुविधार सब सामना करने को पड़ुछि एवं प्रमुख भाव में जे मधुव्रता शतपथी अच्छा डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स बीजेपी ऑटोनोमस कॉलेज से उपस्थापन करते जे आमे से क्षेत्र में केते दूर अधिक अधिक काम करिपरिबा एवं सबु क्षेत्र में महिला मानकर भागीदारी केमती बढ़िबो तांकर प्रत्येकटी मतामत को मध्य आमे केमती सम्मान दबा ये सबु क्षेत्र में मध्य तांकर मतामत रहितला आसंतु तांको सुनिबा।
So gender budgeting ensures more accountability and transparency in the public spending for girls and women. Gender budgeting makes it possible for the government to translate their gender commitments into budgetary provisions, and this budget is utilized as a tool for the betterment in the lives of women and girls. It is divided into two parts. Part A, gender specific budget, wherein 100% allocation is made towards the welfare and development of women and girls. The allocation has been 5,784 crores in the current budget, and this shows an increase of 8.6% from the 22-23 revised estimate. Part B is gender sensitive budget, wherein more than 30% but less than 100% of the beneficiaries are women and girls. There is an increase in the budget for livelihood and skill development, but this increase is also minimal.
The allocation in capacity building of SSGs has been decreased by more than 56%. Moreover, the combined allocation of 288 crore, we find Mission Shakti Scooter Yojana. Mobility is empowerment. The government has proposed a new initiative, Mission Shakti Scooter Yojana. Under this scheme, the government has made a budgetary allotment of 50 crores of rupees to provide interest-free bank loans for purchase of electric scooters. Provision has been made in the current Odisha budget for supplying uniforms and free bicycles to all girl students studying in classes 9th and 10th of government and government-aided schools during 23-24. Other initiatives taken by the budget, funds amounting to 250 crore rupees has been proposed in the budget estimate 23-24 for Mukhya Mantri Sampurna Pushti Yojana. The scheme aims at ensuring comprehensive nutritional care for lactating and pregnant mothers. Another scheme, Samiksha, has been proposed to improve the nutritional status of pregnant women. New scheme like Kalika for creating creche facility for children to benefit working mothers. Advika and adolescent empowerment to end child marriage and set adolescents on the path to empowerment has been proposed. Another scheme, Sanjog, to follow up of status and support to children in need has been proposed in the budget. To alleviate the issue of maternal and infant undernutrition, government of Odisha has launched a state-specific scheme for pregnant women.
दर्शक बंधु ए कार्यक्रम रे जे ओडिशा सरकार अर्थ विभाग जे एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी से होचन डॉक्टर सत्यप्रिय रथ से मध्य जड़े वक्ता भाव में एठी जोग देइथिले। सरकार प्रथमे से अग्राधिकार दौरान जो मानकर आवश्यकता अधिक रही। धीरे धीरे आमे ओभरड्राफ्ट कम करिसेंती। आज ओडिशा गोटे बजेट सरप्लस राज्य भाव में कैपिटल सरप्लस राज्य भाव में आज आमे उभा होइछंती। आमर ओभरड्राफ्ट कमुची, आमे बोरोइंग्स करूनाहांती। ये गोटे दृष्टि भल कथा। एवं अन्यटी है आमे प्रमुख भाव में वरिष्ठ नागरिक हूँ, महिला हूँ, युवक हूँ, चाषी हूँ बा क्रीड़ा भित्तिभूमि कथा जदि आप उल्लेख करेंगे, सबु क्षेत्रर लोक नहीं ये बजेट प्रस्तुत करा जाउछि। सबु क्षेत्र में केमती समतुल सामग्रिक विकास हो पार से क्षेत्र में सरकार गुरुत्व देउछंती। तेबे किछि लोकंकर मध्य जो माने बुद्धिजीवी थिले, जो माने विभिन्न एकेडमिक स्कॉलर थिले, सेमानकर किछि मतामत रहितला ताकू मध्य ग्रहण करथिले डॉक्टर रथ एवं से मध्य तांकर मत उपस्थापन करछंती। तांको आसुन सुनिबा।
Now at least we are fiscally sustainable, fiscally sound, we have resources, people have aspirations. So that's a good positive thing, and it's good to actually get very good inputs from this forum. And yes, the budgetary exercise has for 23-24 is over, but it's not over because we have many budgets to come. And one thing I would like to tell that Rome was not built in a day. It took some time to build it. If we talk about Odisha, the history is that Odisha was formed as a separate state in 1936, and the basis was basically poverty and hunger. Most underdeveloped places from three provinces were taken together, and the state was formed on linguistic basis. When we grow, definitely its benefit will go to the people. Yes, inclusiveness, that is a challenge always for everybody, because when the growth happens, actually the normal trend is that some of the people, they gain a lot of money. So the equality aspect, that is the responsibility of government. Government is trying to do many things for that, and it will continue to be one of the kind of priorities for the government in coming years also. So very good inputs like some suggestions for senior citizens. These things are under consideration, but at the same time, again I will say that resources are limited and we have to prioritize our requirement within that available resource. That is basically budgeting. Government has tried to prioritize within that available resource, and government has tried its best. Of course, there will be some gap that will be filled in due course. So I have noted down many things which definitely I will give input to the respective departments. Let me tell you, it is going to continue almost at that level unless there is substantial fall in prices of the commodity in international international market. It is the price which will affect the revenue from mining, not the kind of quantum or percentage or something like that. This year actually Kerala has again adopted our model, and they are coming up with a climate budget this year. So they will be the
जे ओडिशा रे जो कनेक्टिविटी कथा आम जोगाजोग कथा कहते हैं प्रति गाँ को जमी रास्ता हो पार प्रत्येक लोक ए गमनागमन सहित जमी जड़ित रही पारे से दिगरे आम केते दूर अधिक अधिक उन्नति करा सहित आ गोटे बड़ दिग है जे ओडिशा रे ग्रामीण विकास क्षेत्र में वर्तमान जो कार्यक्रम करा जाउछि से दिगरे लोकंकर मतामत को आधार करी आउ कोन उन्नतिमूलक कार्यक्रम करा जाय परिबो ता उपरे मध्य सरकार को दृष्टि देवार आवश्यकता रहुछि एवं से दिगरे मध्य से कार्य करूछंती एवं से आहुरी गोटे बड़ कथा उल्लेख करथिले जे बिजु सेतु जहाँ जोगाजोग क्षेत्र में एक जुगान्तकारी पदक्षेप भाव में सब्यस्त होती जदि आम गत 6-7 वर्षर बा 8 वर्षर स्थिति को आम तुलनात्मक चित्र भाव में नहीं पारिबा। ओडिशा सरकार 2023-24 बजेट जहाँ एक समतुल विकास एवं मुख्यमंत्री भाषा रे जहाँ लोकंकर बजेट लोकंक पाई बजेट एवं आगामी समय एक नुआ ओडिशा गठन दिगरे ए बजेट यथेष्ट सहायक हो पारिबो से दृष्टि ए सबु गुरुत्वपूर्ण आलोचना को सरकार ग्रहण करुछंती एवं जहाँ जहाँ प्रस्ताव रही परवर्त समय किभली कार्यकारी करा जिवो से उपरे मध्य निश्चित भाव में दृष्टि देउछंती। समय हो जाइछि आमे कार्यक्रम को एठी रखिबा। विदाय दियंतु। नमस्कार।